Duce, how do you balance, just the desire to get out there and go play? I'm sure you guys have wanted to go hit somebody else and play a real game for a while now, versus kind of getting everything you can out of these practice days.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Norvell tells us every single day, like, he doesn't need us to be game ready yet, but the desire is for us to be our best today. You know what I mean? And we'll use these next 2 or 3 days to continue being our best and continue getting better and better, so that once Saturday at 7 o'clock rolls around, we're gonna be at our very, very best. And so, I can't wait to be able to get out there. But I think something very valuable lies within these, within this week, because it can be used for so much good. And it's truly been a great week.
Chris? I'm just gonna follow up real quick.
No, I agree. No,
But you've been through this now for 4 years. Like, is it easier now for you, and how hard is it maybe for younger guys?
Yeah, I think it definitely gets easier as you get older because you know what to expect. Last year I was antsy because I was coming off of a transfer. I wanted to see what Doak Campbell felt like. I wanted to be able to play in front of people, and all those same desires are still there. But I've been at Florida State. I've been in Tallahassee for a year and a half now, and so I just want to use my experiences to help bring the younger guys along, the guys who maybe haven't experienced what Doak Campbell's like, or if they have experienced it, they haven't gotten a ton of snaps. And so, I'm trying to be able to use everything I've learned throughout my 4 years and hopefully instill it in them so their transition is a little bit easier than mine was.
Chris?
Can you tell the resilient nature of a team in the preseason, or is it something you don't know till it kind of happens in real time?
Can you repeat the question?
Can you tell the resiliency of a team in preseason camp, or is it something you don't really know till it happens in real time, like in a game?
Yeah, I think I've always lived by success is going to leave clues. No matter how many different challenges, how many different scenarios you're going to place in front of us in a preseason, there's going to be nothing that can replicate doing it in front of another team or against another team, because you're in a controlled setting, you're in a controlled environment, and you can present as much chaos as you want. But on Saturdays, it's a little bit different. However, I do think the way we've been handling those scenarios, the way we've been able to respond to some of that chaos, and just the way this team has responded to if offense has a really good day, defense is going to be right back. If defense has a really good day, the offense is going to be right back, and it's been a constant back and forth throughout the entire fall camp, which I think is a great indicator of success of a team and the resiliency of a team.
John?
Kind of building off that, Coach was talking the other day about in some moments of adversity, in the face of adversity you guys had last season, necessarily not making some plays that you had to, but he said he sees it differently this season, and a lot of it is because of guys like you, and even you were around last year, but what has been different about that locker room this year that you guys feel like you're ready to show that resiliency on Saturdays?
Yeah, I've said it before, but I think we're doing a lot of the little things right. Last year we had an uberly talented team, and last year we put ourselves in position to win a lot of games, but I feel like we shot ourselves in the foot a lot. It came down to a lot of those little things that we didn't handle the right way, and it feels like this year we've really been like very, very disciplined. We've been honed in on doing the little things right, doing the fundamentals right, doing the basic things right on and off of the field, and so I think that leads to us being able to do the big things right, because often the biggest things are built just upon a lot of little things, and so I think that's one of the biggest differences I've seen with this team this offseason. I'm really excited to see how it translates to playing another team.
Liam?
When you mentioned doing the little things right, how much of that starts with guys like you and Ashland? When we're talking to you guys, other players are saying you guys are there early, you're bringing guys in with you, you're doing that extra work, extra rep. How much does that impact, like you mentioned, the little things that can build into a big thing?
Yeah, it's been really, really cool, because you have so many guys returning who saw time last year, who were able to make some really big time plays and were able to prove that they can have success in a college football program. And, you know, when we have a team full of so many young guys, full of so many transfers, full of so many just new faces, they're naturally going to gravitate towards the people who were able to have success last year, you know? And so, so I think seeing guys like Ashland, seeing guys like Jabril, seeing guys like Dan Lyons that are, you know, they were successful on the field last year, but then they're also the guys who are here the earliest, the guys who are doing everything right. That naturally leads to the young guys following their example, and it's been really cool to see all those guys come along.
Bob?
Duce, you said, I think in the offseason that you're going to push yourself, and you expected Norvell and Coach Harris to push you too. Now that you're a couple days away, where do you think you've made the progress, the improvements as far as just being prepared to be a better Duce?
Yeah, you know, I think there was a lot of areas I wanted to clean up in my game throughout in my transition, deciding to come back from last season to this season. You know, I've really been pushing my physicality. That's a big thing. Really been pushed to run better routes in my release game. You know, those are all areas that I've strived to get better in. Those are all areas that Coach Norvell and Coach Harris have pushed me to get better in. And I'm really excited to be able to show the world what it looks like now.
Matt?
You know, not just playing New Mexico State this weekend, but I think one of your childhood friends, Miles, is over there.
Yeah.
So has there been any crap talking or anything like that behind the scenes, and how excited are you for that?
I can't wait. You know, we were just texting the other day, but it's a really full circle moment. So in our first season, I was at USC, he was at Stanford, and we played each other. And then, you know, going into our senior year, we're both at different schools, but we're playing each other in the first game of the season. Like, that's what we used to dream about. You know what I mean? Being able to play at two big time programs and being able to, you know, dap each other up on the sideline before and after the game. Like, that's the 5-year-old me would be in awe. And so I truly can't wait. I'm so blessed to be able to play him, and yeah, I can't wait.
And Daniels was the quarterback for that game, right, for Stanford?
Oh, he was. He had gotten hurt in the first half, but yeah, he was at Stanford for that game. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
Corey?
You mentioned the newcomers. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Guys that we haven't seen before, or the fans haven't seen before. One on each side of the ball that's really going to impress Florida State fans immediately that they haven't got a chance to see yet.
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm in. You guys have heard it a million times, but I'm always gonna stick with J-Rock. Jason Lopez is gonna be an absolute baller for us, and I think, you know, he's gonna go out there and have an incredible season. One of my young guys, so I'm really excited to see what he's gonna do. On the defensive side of the ball, we have a lot. You know who I really like is Jordan Crutchfield. I think that dude is a freak of nature athlete. He's like a torpedo when he runs, and I'm really excited to see what he's gonna do when he gets the chance.
I was gonna follow up on Matt's question about Miles. So what kind of squad did you guys have at receiver when you guys were coming up together, and how close can you talk a little bit about how close you guys have been and how long?
Yeah, so I met Miles in 6th or 7th grade, and we met each other playing flag football against each other, and then from there it sparked into a friendship, and very quickly we became like best friends. Like, you could ask anyone, you know, we were inseparable, and you know, he pushed me to be the best version of myself, and I hope I did the same for him. But you know, we had a good squad at receiver. My sophomore year, we had Dorian Singer, who spent a couple time in camps in the NFL. He started his career at the University of Arizona, then went to SC, and finished at Utah. But he was nasty. But you know, some of our closest friend group was Elijah Page, who was a lineman at USC, Bryce Ford, who's a point guard at Arizona State, Devin Smith, who ended up, you know, he's played basketball for a while, and then me and Miles, and so we had a lot of athletes in that friend group. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
With J-Rock, we've heard a lot about, you know, him doing things on the field, the contested catch catches, the route running and things like that, but what makes him ready to play so early in his career as a freshman? Like, what is it, like the mindset and stuff like that? That's what we've heard about from Coach Norvell, but what have you seen from him as a, one of the leaders in his room?
Yeah, he's so willing. He's willing to do anything that we ask of him, and he's going to put his all into it. Obviously he makes freakish catches. He runs really good routes, and he's gonna come down with anything you throw his way. But then he's willing to listen. He's willing to adapt. He knows he's not perfect, and he's always looking for ways to get better, which I think is about as much as you could ask of someone that young. You know what I mean? Like, as a freshman, it's about development. It's about, you want to make as many plays as possible, but it's about learning what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And I think him having such an open mindset and such like a growth mindset, it's gonna take him as far as he could possibly want to go.
Peter?
Duce, you were raving about with Ashton, and this will be the first time you finally get to play with him in a full game. Like, what are you excited about having to finally put everything on display with him at quarterback and on the bench and what you expect from him?
Yeah, I love talking about Ashton because of like how all around like awesome he is. You know what I mean? Like, there's some people in this life that you meet them and you could just tell that they're built different. And I think he's one of those people. He's spent every single day growing, getting better, getting more comfortable in the system since he's been here. And he's making some incredible throws right now. His accuracy's off the charts. He's a freak of nature athlete. And then he's just a natural leader. He calls the guys up around him. He wants guys to be the very best version of themselves. And he's more concerned with the success of the people around him than he is with his own success, which I think is as good of a quality like in a quarterback as you could possibly ask for. And so I'm really excited to see him show the world what he can do on Saturday in front of 67,000 people. And I think he's gonna really turn some heads.
We'll do two more. Ryan?
Duce, coach was asked a little bit about kind of balancing that dog days of camp. You guys have been practicing so much and you get that kind of anxiousness of, I finally just want to hit somebody. It's not wearing our jersey. As a leader, do you ever feel like you have to step in and kind of balance that, hey guys, let's focus on the task at hand. We got a game coming up. Like, have you ever felt throughout camp that you kind of had to balance sometimes that, I guess, balance? I don't know. I lost my word. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think camp is great for so many reasons, and there's definitely those days where it's just like, man, like, let me line up against someone other than Jabril Rawls or Q Jones or Nehemiah Chandler. Like, let me line up against someone because it gets to the point where he knows exactly what I'm gonna do and I know exactly what he's gonna do, and it's just like, may the best man win. But at the same time, that's how you grow. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to win on a slant when Jabril knows I'm gonna run a slant. Like, that's good on good. That's best on best. And then when you line up on Saturdays against someone who has no idea what you're gonna do, it makes it that much easier. You know what I mean? So it definitely sucks, but I think it's been really good for the guys to see, the same people every single day and still have to figure out how to win, because you have to get creative and you have to figure things out even when it might be uncomfortable, even when it might not be the most ideal situation. And so, yeah, it definitely it can suck sometimes, but ultimately I think it's all for the best.
We'll go to Nick for the last one.
Obviously, you got here last year, and Dustin Alzon was who was calling plays, and Mike's back to calling plays this year. I know the similarities are there between both offenses, but as a player, can you tell any differences in the play calling between the two? Is one more aggressive than the other? Is there kind of like a ideological like similarity that you find with Mike when he's calling plays? Can you tap into any of that as a player?
Yeah, I think there's similarities and differences. You can absolutely see that Coach Norvell came up under Coach Malzahn, and I loved being a part of Coach Malzahn's system. But I think Coach Norvell and Coach Harris are going to do a fantastic job this year. I'm really excited to see it. They move their guys around a little bit more. They run a couple more different routes in the route tree for everyone, and so I'm hoping to be able to show that part of my game off as well. And I think it's good for the quarterbacks too, because there's a lot of progression reads. You know, it's a lot of, 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of maybe just being 1, 2 check down. And so I think it's been really good. It's been a lot of fun throughout this camp to see what it's like for Coach Norvell and Coach Harris to be calling plays. And as we continue to game plan, I think it's just gonna keep getting better and better.
Perfect. Thank you, Duce.
I appreciate y'all.